here should be clickable if you go to this page. I don't like Google Drive's URLs because they're long and they're just random letters here. So it's...
Taking a picture of that, it's so small, I don't think we're going to be able to read it. So that's useless too, it's pretty much.
No, if you have something to write on, if you can take a note on your...
I don't like to take a tree down either.
But you can take a note on your phone. There's a document thing on your phone.
I just like to take a picture of it and then it can be bigger than that one.
Okay.
It's so small, you need to use a bigger font if you want to do it.
Yes, I understand that. But if you get a document open on your phone, a note on your phone, you can write down these letters, and it will take it to you. It'll take you right to it later on. Okay, so it's padlet.com/Laughlin/values. If all else fails, open your contacts, put a contact in there named Laughlin, and in the notes of the contact, you can write this little code down, and you can get to this later on. And it will be clickable links. All right? So, that's where you find it. By the way, this Google Drive folder also has all of the PowerPoints from every session for the whole week long. So even if you missed a session, you want to go back. Another way to get the same information is to find this book called 10 Christian Values Every Kid Should Know by Donna Hobenicht. It was printed originally in the year 2000, but the principles haven't really changed. And you can find this book on Amazon.com. You can also find it at AdventistBookCenter.com. The local bookstore, the ABC here on campus had 2 at the beginning of the week, but I wouldn't guarantee that they still have them now. So there are the ways that you can get this information. All right? So let's start with a word of prayer. Let's pray. Father God, it's so nice to call you Father and know that you care about the things that happen to us, and you care about the people that surround us. You care about our children. You care about our students. And you, like us, want to see them grow up to love and honor and serve you. We're talking today about values and about peer pressure, Lord, and I ask that you would help us to learn something that we might not have known before from today's session. Thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. So I'm going to turn the light back on now. And we'll get started with our presentation. So what is peer pressure? What is peer pressure? Turn to somebody near you at your table and talk for about 37 seconds. What is peer pressure? Yeah, it's just a random number. I can, and I will. Okay, so what is peer pressure? Yes. This, if you go to the Google Drive folder, on that URL, it will bring up the PowerPoints. Okay? Let's go back to the PowerPoint for today and get that going. Okay, so teaching Christian values, and we already talked about the book and where it's adapted from. So let's move to the next one. He will be like a tree. What kind of a tree? Firmly planted firmly planted by the waters, and what? Yields its fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither, and in whatever he does, he prospers. We are using the analogy of a tree to compare to what? A person. So growing people, whether it's you're talking about ourselves or children or students in a classroom. I mentioned on Monday that my father-in-law, you ask him, "Hey, Grandpa, how you doing?" His answer is almost always, "Not bad for a kid." Grandpa EJ is 84. He finally quit driving 18-wheelers around about 82. He just decided it wasn't worth trying to pass the medical test anymore and everything. So he got off the road. When he was 75, he was laid off from driving truck, and so he was getting unemployment. So he was going around to different places and putting in his resume and application for jobs, and people looked at him and said, "Why are you doing that? You're 75 years old." And he said, "Well, I got to work." So he always says, "Not bad, I'm not doing bad for a kid." So if Grandpa's a kid, then all of us in this room, I think, are also kids. And we can grow and be a growing Christian. Values under pressure, peer pressure. Peer pressure hits kids like a hurricane. How vulnerable is your child? The good news is that kids who have been prepared by caring adults to divert peer pressure will withstand the onslaught. Although there will be mistakes, these children who have been prepared by caring adults in their lives will not lose themselves. The most vulnerable children end up being alienated from their families, and those who have not had much time, it says, with parents. That also includes caring teachers and other people in their lives. Someone once said that it takes 3 caring adults in the life of a child to make a difference. Now, those 3 adults could be church members, they could be teachers, parents, grandparents, but each child needs a minimum of 3. Yes? Mm-hmm. Anything they did, positive or negative? Right. So because he'd been homeschooled a lot, I'm repeating for the sake of the recording. Yes. So over the course of the year, even though it was his first year in school in 6th grade, that because of the caring teachers, it made a difference. Yes. Okay. Those children that have spent most of their time around other kids are more at risk for peer pressure than those who have a caring relationship with an adult. So what's wrong? We need to increase the family influence. What's wrong? Avoiding peer pressure starts very young. Time with adults helps to moderate peer pressure, but now in this day and age, we have a lot less time with adults than we used to have. Back in the Leave It to Beaver days, in the 50s and 60s, people stayed more or less in the same geographical area, and they had cousins and grandparents. And when I was a child growing up in my little hometown, everybody knew my grandmother. My grandmother was 4'11", and you did not mess with my grandmother because she would not hesitate to really tell you what was what. So I felt very confident and very safe in my hometown because everybody knew Grandma, and so I knew that I was relatively in a safe place. Also, they will turn on you, those people that know your grandmother. find you doing something you shouldn't be doing, they will turn on you and they will say, I'm going to tell your grandma and you're going to get it. Okay? We used to have strong neighborhoods, extended family, involved parents. But more and more, teens and children on TV are providing negative influences. Electronic devices separate families. I tried this with my family. My children are 20 and 22, and we were out to eat someplace, and I put my phone in the middle of the table. I said, okay, guys, here's the deal. Stack your phones. First one to reach for their phone pays the bill. No way, Mom. I'm not doing that. But yes, this is family time, the little picture in the corner. It's not that electronic devices are inherently bad. It's that their use can sometimes keep you from having real relationships with people. So, some tactics to decrease peer pressure. Encourage your child to make values commitments ahead of time. This is really key because if you make a decision before the circumstances happen, then you are less likely to change your mind and do something spur of the moment. My daughter decided at the age of 5 that she was not going to eat meat anymore. Now, I come from a background where my side of the family, the older generations, are not Adventist, and she also was in situations where she would be out with friends and she'd get chicken nuggets or something at McDonald's. But when she put 2 and 2 together and figured out that those chicken nuggets at McDonald's came from the chickens at the chicken house where Uncle Mike worked, she said, they came from live animals? I'm not eating dead animals. I said, well, you certainly don't want to eat live animals either. And she said, no, Mom, I'm not eating animals, period. And she hasn't. She has made up her mind that she would rather not eat than to eat meat. So children who make values commitments ahead of time and it's their commitment will do better in peer pressure situations. Teach your child how to recognize and respond to peer pressure. And it's best if you can do this within the first 30 seconds of recognizing that it is peer pressure. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Inspire your children with high ideals from God's Word. There's a reason the people in the Bible, the stories are there. And you notice they didn't just put the stories in about the people that never messed up. They also put people in who had struggles and difficulties. Peter, for example, was a little bit impulsive, or maybe a lot impulsive. And yes, so we have those stories to help us from the Bible. So first, teach your child to recognize pressure tactics. These are called the dynamite words. Dynamite words vary from part of the country to part of the country. They also vary from generation to generation. I don't know if kids still say, oh, you're just a chicken. Kids still say that? Yeah? I'm looking at the kids to check, because they know. Baby, fraidy cat. I don't know. Anybody hear any other words out there that one kid says to another because they want to get them to do something? You're not my friend. Oh, that's a big one. 6th grade girls. I'm sorry. Are either of you in 6th grade? I'm sorry. I really am. But that seems to be where it hits. Dynamite words. Your words have power, so use them wisely. But dynamite words like this that encourage children to do things that they shouldn't by calling them names. That's what dynamite words are. So if you teach the children ahead of time, hey, somebody's going to come up to you and they're going to say this, let's practice. So if I say, oh, you're just a fraidy cat, you can't do that, what do you say? And so if you role play it ahead of time, it makes the child stronger. Teach your child how to respond to pressure tactics. 2 chances to say no and then leave the scene. Don't stick around. Because the longer people stay at you, picking at you, trying to get you to do something, the more likely to cave in. Say no, be funny, toss it back, practice until it's automatic. Here are 8 different ways to say no. Say, no thanks. Give an excuse or a reason. Sometimes I tell servers in the restaurant, I'm a mother, so as a mother, I don't eat anything that had a mother because I'm standing in solidarity with other mothers. And they look at me, and it takes them a minute to process it, and then they just kind of shake their heads and walk away. But I think I get my point across. Give an excuse or a reason. A repeated refusal or keep saying no. And by the way, parents, this works on children as well. Mom, may I have this? No. Please, may I have this? No. Everybody else has one? No. And you know, one of my friends, she has 9 children. When the first couple of children were small, she decided to learn no in a variety of languages because she was tired of saying no. Okay? So her children have learned that no, 9, niet, all mean no. And so she just, yeah. So repeated refusal, saying no. Walk away. Change the subject. Change the subject. Say, have you seen the lake today? Isn't it pretty? Avoid the situation. Give them the cold shoulder. And there is strength in numbers. 8 different ways to say no or to get out of sticky situations. So keys to dealing with peer pressure. Begin early with this idea. Sometimes we cannot do what everyone else does. Did anybody have parents that taught you that? Mine did kind of in an offhand way. Well, if everybody jumped off the cliff, would you do that too? Depends on the size of the cliff. But begin early, that we can't do it just because everyone else does it. When my son was 16, he came to me. He had been away at academy, and he said, Mom, my iPod screen is cracked. I really need a new iPod. And I'm getting ready to go on a mission trip to Africa, and I'm going to be on the plane a long time, and I just really need a new iPod. I said, no, you're going to Africa with your cracked iPod. You're not getting one right now. We'll talk after you get back. We'll talk after you get back. He went to Africa. He came back. He never said another word about his cracked iPod screen, because he discovered that the place where they were on this mission trip, they were building a school building for kindergartners who got up and walked an hour before the sun came up to come to school. Kindergartners who went home at the end of the day without having eaten lunch because they didn't have any lunch to carry with them, and the school couldn't afford to feed them. He and his team members put together some of their spending money and said, we want you to feed them the same meal you feed us workers, because we cannot sit here and work while they are in the same area and they're not eating. We can't sit here and eat while they're not eating. So sometimes we can't do what everyone else does because we have different values. Encourage active involvement in worthwhile activities. Establish clear guidelines for your child's behavior and hold them to it. Provide consequences. We mentioned yesterday that consequences need to fit the crime, so to speak. So I told the story yesterday about spitwads in my classroom. And because these 2 boys had decided to make spitwads, I was teaching 7th and 8th grade in East Los Angeles, and they made spitwads in my classroom. Their punishment was to come in at lunchtime and make spitwads and fill up a box an empty Kleenex box with spit wads. And then I took my chopsticks and tossed out about a third of them because they weren't well done spit wads. They were defective. Imagine that. And they had to come back the next day, and the next day, and the next day. By the end of the week, the box was not even partly full. I mean, it was partly full, but not nearly half full yet. And I said to them, now you have grace. And if I ever find another spit wad in my classroom, you're coming back to finish filling the box. I never found another spit wad, and I didn't the next year either, because one of the 8th graders grabbed the 7th grader that was sitting next to her, who was starting to make spit wads, and says, "Stop, don't you know, haven't you heard what she does?" So provide consequences, and consequences that fit the crime are the best. Encourage your child to make values commitments ahead of time. Okay? Stick to it. Be consistent. This is hard to do, the consistency. Teach your child how to recognize and respond to peer pressure. So what does peer pressure look like? What does peer pressure look like? Turn to somebody near you and talk for about 53 seconds about what peer pressure looks like. Go. Okay, finish your thought. And finish your sentence. Okay, so when you respond to this question, you're welcome to say something that you thought of, or you can steal somebody else's and tell me what somebody else said. What is peer pressure? How do you recognize it? What does it look like? Yes, ma'am. Okay, if you have to be talked into it, it's probably peer pressure. Okay, good. Somebody else. Something you don't want to do and somebody else wants you to. Okay? Could peer pressure be a good thing then? Because you don't want to do this, but it could be a good thing. Okay? Yeah, the clothes that people wear. So it could be something that your peers are saying, well, why aren't you wearing this, or why aren't you doing this? Or it could be that they're out of place. Okay? They don't have the same thing. All right?
I think that's where, we have to get to know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
For children to know who they are.
To know who we are. Yeah. If we know who we are, then the negative peer pressure, we're not as inclined to do it because we have good self-esteem, good self-concept. We know who we are, and we don't have to dress the same way, in the same styles as everybody else. I have some friends of mine that love shoes. They have probably dozens, if not 100, different pair of shoes that go with each outfit. And I'm here with my podiatrist recommended very comfortable walking shoes that I wear almost 100% of the time. And it's like, why do you need all those pointy shoes? And why am I the one ending up with bone spurs when I've been good and worn comfortable shoes all my life? I'm not understanding this. But peer pressure can be good things, can be not so good things. But if we have a good self-concept, I don't mind if my friend Ruth wears pretty shoes. She can do that, but I'm still going to wear comfortable shoes, okay, and be okay with that. Encourage a personal relationship with Jesus. So Yes. Yes. So your children said, because we're buyers, we don't do that. Uh-huh. Okay. So they understood that. Just like my son in 3rd grade came home and said, Mom, if you were Brittany's mom, she wouldn't wear the outfits that she does at school. 3rd grade. 8 years old. Okay? Honesty, integrity, loyalty, and commitment. These are the values we're concentrating on, because if you have these values ingrained in yourself, peer pressure is not going to be nearly the issue that it is if you're getting your sense of self-worth from somebody else. Am I an okay person because the leader of that clique says I'm an okay person, or I'm an okay person because God says so? You know, where does my value come from? So these are the values that we're going to talk about a little bit more in detail for the next few minutes. Honesty, integrity, loyalty, and commitment. I sound like I'm a Boy Scout. Funny story. My children and I were missionaries to the public schools for about 7 years. And my son decided in 3rd grade that he wanted to join Cub Scouts. And I said, well, you're already an adventurers. And he said, yes, I know, Mom, but I want to join Cub Scouts. I said, okay, I don't have a problem with you joining Cub Scouts, but you're not dropping out of adventurers. He said, okay. So he started in with Cub Scouts and went on to be a Boy Scout. And he learned a lot of things being a Boy Scout like this. He also learned how to be a leader, and I really liked that. But as soon as we switched and he went back to Adventist schools, he came to me and said, Mom, I'm in an Adventist school, not a public school now. Can I quit Pathfinders? I said, sure, that was the deal. You had to be in Pathfinders or Adventurers as long as we were missionaries to the public school. So, but back to the honesty, integrity, loyalty, and commitment. These are things that need to be internalized by the student, by the child, and that's where my son got some of his. So, these are rare qualities in this day of weak character, and do whatever you think will get you ahead. So, we're looking at principles, truths, sincerity, genuineness, decency, honor. These kinds of things all contribute to honesty and integrity. Okay, God's view of honesty. God says that dishonesty is an abomination. What does that mean? An abomination. We don't use King James. Detestable. Ew. Now, you all may totally disagree with me, and that's okay, but I happen to really dislike Brussels sprouts. I don't know why. Maybe because Brussels sprouts and asparagus growing up were never out of the garden. They were out of a can, and they tasted like, okay. Anyway, mush. So when I was teaching in East LA, I used to teach the kids that if you have to have an expletive, you will not get busted by the teacher if you use your least favorite vegetable as your expletive. So when you hit your finger with a hammer, you say, "Oh, Brussels sprouts." One of my friends who was a teacher taught his 3-year-old son to use for his little expletive summer school. Because teachers all love summer school, don't we? Love going to summer school? Maybe not. Anyway, dishonesty is an abomination. It's something detestable that God does not like. Okay? So, if I tell a lie, am I being dishonest? Yes. If I tell the truth, but maybe not all of it, am I still being dishonest? Okay. So it doesn't have to be a lie to be dishonest? So there are some things so like when I ask my 20-year-old son, does this T-shirt make me look fat? He's not supposed to say yes. He's supposed to say something like, you might want to consider a different outfit, Mom. That would be a kinder way, right? But there are some times when we shouldn't. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all? Okay. That's why my son doesn't talk about my daughter's fiancé. That's what he tells me. God's character includes absolute, transparent honesty and integrity. God's character is absolutely honest. Okay? If only we could be that way. We can trust God's promises. He never lies. Lying originated in the heart of Lucifer. God wants us to be honest in every aspect of our lives. He wants to be with us every day, helping us be honest. He wants our honesty and integrity to flow from our love for Him. So because of our love for Him. Now, some of the adults in the room may understand the analogy that I'm going to use. I'm not sure. I want our younger members to let me know if this works for you, okay? I have arrived at the stage of my life where sometimes at Southern, when I'm teaching, I notice that somebody has the same last name as one of my classmates from school. And I say, oh, are you so-and-so's son? Are you so-and-so's daughter? Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to take really special care of that one, right? Because I know their parents, and so I feel like I need to take special care of that person. And then one day I said, wait a minute. Every one of my students is somebody's son or daughter. And each one of my students is special to God. So I need to take extra special care of all of them. And that comes from within me. The idea, I don't contact their parents and say, oh, your kid is in my class, I'm going to watch out for them, But it comes from inside of me, from who I am as a person. Now, I don't know if that makes sense does it make sense when you're, okay, just checking. I'm glad you're here because you can be my, my checkers there. Okay, loyalty and commitment. Loyalty and commitment have two sides. On the good side, they're very desirable and in very short supply. On the bad side, loyalty can be misplaced. What does that mean? How can you have misplaced loyalty? Peer pressure. Okay. Value your friend's opinion more than the adults who truly care about you or someone else who truly cares about you. Okay, yes. Uh-huh. Right. So their loyalty switches from their parents to the peers. There's a story in the Bible about that, isn't there? It was one of, I think it was, trying to remember which king in Israel or Judah had died and his son had become the new king. And the people came to him and said, under your father, Okay, so tell me again. Solomon and Rehoboam. Your father's yoke was very hard on us. And he went to his father's advisors, and his father's advisor says, well, you might want to listen to the people and ease up a little bit. And he went to the advisors that he picked out that were his own age, and they said, oh, you're going to think that my father was a marshmallow by the time I get done. I'm going to be so demanding. But he listened to his peers instead of listening to the older men and raised the taxes and then had a revolt. So sometimes your loyalty can be misplaced, and we need to teach children where their loyalty lies. Loyalty has to be paired with integrity. What's integrity? Louder? Honesty. Going back to being honest. And I'm trying to remember all of those verbs and stems and pre and post things, but integrity, doesn't that come from the same root as integral? It's part of who you are on the inside. Like Mrs. Byers was saying that her children would say, we don't do that because we're Byers. We don't behave in that way. Okay, so loyalty and integrity go together. Faith in God, responsibility, respect, self-control, honesty and integrity will ensure that loyalty and commitment will not be misplaced. Real loyalty stands on the shoulders of God's love. Real loyalty stands on the shoulders of God's love. Now, most of you have been talking to the same one or two people at your table, and I would like you to turn to somebody that's near you, hopefully, that is not somebody that you talked with earlier, and look at this sentence right here and find a way to say that in different words. Real loyalty stands on the shoulders of God's love. How can we say that concept in different words? Please talk to somebody that you didn't talk to last time. Go. The wonderful thing about this kind of turning and talking is that there are no right and wrong answers, because I asked what you thought about it. And what you think about it isn't a right or a wrong thing. It's just what you think. So, who can tell me? What's another way of saying real loyalty stands on the shoulders of God's love? I'm sorry? Start over there. Uh-huh. Okay. It'll fall in. If God is first in your life, if you're loyal to God first, in correct perspective, procession, yes. Okay. Someone else. John 15. I am the vine, you are the branches. Yes. So God is the source of the true loyalty, love. Okay? Someone else. Yes. Okay. Because let me try to say that for the purposes of the recording. Because God is in me and around me and through me and everything, that therefore I can be an expression of His loyalty to others, or you are inspired to be. You're not threatened. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So God is absolutely committed to our salvation. He wants us to have that same kind of loyalty in our relationships with other people. Does that mean that if somebody comes up and says, "You're not my friend," well, I get to hate that person because they just told me that I'm not their friend? No. Okay. And so God wants us to be loyal, to care about our friends even when they say that they don't want to be friends with us anymore. Okay? God expects us to honor our promise to our marriage partner to be loyal and committed until death. God showed the ultimate love and loyalty when he sent his son Jesus to die on the cross, and he wants us to be his friends forever. That's loyalty. Now, we're going to divide into groups, and we want 4 groups. And my intent was to have a large piece of paper and a marker here for you all to use. However, I was late getting back, and so I didn't get to the store. So what we're going to do is have you take notes, either if you have a notebook, great. If you don't have a notebook and you have a smartphone, you can take notes on your smartphone. But we're going to divide into 4 groups. And one group is going to look at when I am statements about honesty. When I am honest, what? I want specific things. When I am honest, I don't take gum out of my mom's purse without asking. I don't know. When I am honest, I do my own work and don't share my work with someone else. When I am honest, and give me some specific things. When I am honest, what? And see how many statements that you can make in the 5 minutes or so that I'm going to give you. The second group is going to go, when I show integrity, I blank. See how many statements you can get in the 5 minutes or so that I give you. The third group is going to be when I am loyal. And the last group is when I demonstrate commitment. And then we're going to ask each group to share with the larger group at the end. So we have, we have a table of, we've got 4 here, 2 here, 3, 1, and 4. So we need four groups. So if you are at a table with 1 or 2 people, you might need to join another table so that we have 4 groups and not 6 groups. Okay? So yeah, I don't know. I have, where's my bag? I had some scrap paper, some handouts from the other day. Is that like a pen? Okay, I have one pen. I did make handouts one day this week, so you can have some paper. It's already been cut down. Sure. How are we doing? Are we ready? Who would like to go first? Volunteers or victims? That's what I tell my students. Volunteers or victims? Who wants to go first? All right. Okay. Now, I don't suppose I could convince you to come up here and say it into the microphone, right? That'd be a little bit over the top. So you go ahead and read, and I'll repeat. I do not want to scare her away so she never wants to be in my class. If it weren't for the recording, I wouldn't make you do it.
When I am loyal, I am obedient, I take the whole person, I am loving, I make sacrifices, accept any outcomes, trust God that it will turn out all right, am loyal to my beliefs, am focused on what is right based on God's word, and I'm loyal to principles of health, and I become the target of the enemy. I'm building a stronger character, and I make enemies.
And it's okay to make enemies? Is it okay to make enemies? Sure. Yes, there are times that people are not going to understand. So yes, give her some applause. Let's go ahead. Yes. When Potiphar's wife tried to entice him to do things he shouldn't. Awesome. It's better to take prison than to compromise your beliefs. Okay. Who'd like to go next? All right. Come on down. They asked me if I wanted a handheld, the wireless mic, and it's scratchy. This one sounds better.
Okay, when I demonstrate commitment, I keep my promises. When I demonstrate commitment, I finish a job. When I demonstrate commitment, I keep my appointments on time. When I demonstrate commitment, I work through conflict in relationships. When I demonstrate commitment, I am in it for the long haul. When I demonstrate commitment, I have delayed gratification. When I demonstrate commitment, I eat food I already have before getting seconds at potluck. When I demonstrate commitment, I stay loyal. When I demonstrate commitment, I do it even though I don't want to.
All right, good job. Very much so. Yes, give her some applause there. Thank you. I said on the first day of our meetings this week that because there are 10 Christian values in this book, it would work great for, in a school situation, to focus on one value each month and to have the students come up with some of these ideas themselves as you go through the month. If you're in a home situation and you're doing family worships, let's be real. It's very hard to consistently have the worship every day, 7 days a week, regardless of whether you're on a school schedule or a vacation schedule, to have that worship. Am I right or am I wrong? It does take commitment, doesn't it? But sometimes things come up. Sometimes things happen. But if you could take those 10 values and spread them out over the year, I think it could also work. Okay, so who would like to go next? Either?
Here we have, when I show integrity, I'm honest under all circumstances. I show integrity when I stand for truth. I show integrity when even it's not profitable.
Okay, so profitable. Wow, you mean like maybe even money? Yes, applause. So, like when the store clerk gives you the wrong change, and instead of keeping it because it could buy you something else, you take it back because you're showing commitment to being honest and okay, good. All right, one more.
When I am honest, I have a clear conscience. When I am honest, I'm vulnerable. When I am honest, I rest well at night. When I am honest, I don't have to hide. When I am honest, I can face people easily. I can look people in the eye, and I know I'm right with God and a positive example.
Thank you very much. Good job. Now let me see where I set my, that's the problem with setting something down. Okay, let's see what Dr. Donna's book said about these things. When I am honest and a person of integrity, I tell the truth even when it's difficult. I do not cheat. I do my own grade. I do my own work and get the grades I deserve. I try to tell this to even college students. What grade did I get? The grade you deserved. What grade did you give me? I don't give grades. You earn them. Ooh. I play the best I can in sports. I play by the rules. I don't gossip about other people. When I work, I don't fool around and waste time. I keep my promises. I do what I say I am going to do. People can trust me. I will always do what is honest and right, even though it might hurt me. I want people to know that I'm a person of integrity. I want my word to mean something. I have a friend that I used to team teach with in East Los Angeles. She's one of my best friends to this day, and she's only lied to me once. The staff at the school where I worked had planned a baby shower, and they wanted to make it a surprise. And in order to get me to the house at the right time, she had to take me on a wild goose chase, and I was not happy with her because I knew that if she told me something, she never lied, so I could trust her. She lied to me once. We're still friends, though. I understand. But, yeah, we want our word to mean something. It's important to have that trust. I don't know. You're the man of the house. Why don't you go check it out? Yes. When I am loyal, I will stand by my family no matter what because I love them. If someone teases or pesters my little siblings, I will beat them into the ground. No, it doesn't say that. It says I will defend them. Try defending with words first. It's better. I demonstrate allegiance, courage, dedication, devotion, friendship, fidelity, faithfulness, and love. We stick together. This is what loyalty looks like to me. I keep my promises to my family and friends. When I say I will do something, I do it, even though I might have to sacrifice something to keep my promise. I will be loyal to what my parents taught me about what is right and wrong because I love them. I don't gossip about my friends or anyone else. Wow, that's a big friends or anyone else. I love my country and what it stands for. I choose friends who will be loyal to me because loyalty goes two ways. Guidelines. Now we're going to talk about how to help children develop these. Provide consequences for dishonest actions, but give the children an opportunity to start over again. Okay? We all need a do-over sometimes. Your message needs to be clear and firm that this is unacceptable. If your child admits a lie, compliment the confession, help with the restitution. Think carefully about patterns of behavior like the lie, confess, convenience cycle. Okay, I can lie, and then I'll just ask Mom to forgive me, and she'll forgive me. And then next time I can lie again, and it's okay. It's easier to get forgiveness than permission. Anybody hear that phrase before? So if there are consequences, but you also leave the children an opportunity to start over. Okay? No child is honest all the time. Children must learn honesty and eventually develop integrity. Concealing the truth is just as dishonest as telling a lie. Critical periods, believe it or not, are between ages 3 and 4, when they're really little, before they even get into school. And then again during early adolescence. When does adolescence start? 11 or 12. And sometimes in this day and age, because of all of the stuff on the media and the examples that children see on television and movies, I would suggest that sometimes it can start even at 10. So during early adolescence, because the child is making choices about who they are going to be as a person instead of just blindly following what mom and dad have always said. So, yes, Frederick. Early teen, yes. Some people say prepubescence, before puberty. I know that in my own children's case, my daughter in particular, because bless her heart, she and I have the same personality and character. I would say 85% of her personality is just like me. And the other 15 she gets from her daddy. But because we are so much alike, when she was 11, 12, 13, we did a lot of this. And she would be positive that she knew better than I did. And we would both go to our bedrooms in tears some nights because we were so upset about our disagreement. So this is a time when children are trying to spread their wings, but they still need that safety net underneath of them. Okay? Come on. Deceitful children are usually insecure, and they cover up insecurity with manipulation. Covering up insecurity with manipulation. So they would rather put on a brave front and try to get you to do what they want you to do rather than for you to see how insecure they really are. They're very touchy about themselves and anything that might embarrass them. They claim that they don't have any faults. And they have an amazing ability to be vague and unclear. What'd you do today? Nothing. How'd school go? How did school go? Okay. What are you doing this weekend? I don't know. Well, are you going out with friends? I don't know. Maybe. Where are you going? I don't know. Yeah. Consider your priorities for this child. Are your expectations too high? Be a parent who provides clear leadership, give clear limits, enlist the cooperation of other people, and always encourage new beginnings. Even if you lied to me in the past, it will take a while for me to be able to trust you again, but if you start from today and determine not to lie, then you can have a new beginning. Because Jesus gives us one every day, right? He wipes the slate clean, and we start all over again. Does anybody remember what God said about King David? That David was a man after his own heart. Wait a minute. David was a man after God's own heart. How can that be? Was David a murderer? Was he a liar? Was he an adulterer? Well, that's not God's heart. How could he be a man after God's own heart? Okay. His sincerity in his spirit, and he also asked God for forgiveness, didn't he? Okay. He saw that he had messed up. He confessed it, and God forgave him. Okay? Okay, because he keeps coming back to God, God can say he's a man after his own heart. So encourage, if God can do that for King David, can we not do this for the children in our homes and the children in our classrooms? Do we ever make mistakes? Do we need a new beginning? Yes. So let's give it to the kids as well. Okay? Keys to teaching honesty and integrity. Model it first. Modeling it is huge. don't ask kids to do something you're not willing to do yourself. When I was in academy, we had a couple of different supervisors in the kitchen where I worked, and one of the supervisors was all, jokes and laughter, and we really enjoyed it when she supervised because we had fun. And the other one was rather strict. And you're here to work, and you come and you work and you get your work done, and you're done. And so I would kind of tiptoe around the really strict one at first because I didn't want her to yell at me. Nobody likes to be yelled at, right? But the other one was like, oh, yeah, hi, how are you, my best friend? Yeah, it's cool, Until somebody mentioned something to me. When Supervisor A was on duty, it might take us all Sabbath afternoon to clean up from Sabbath lunch because we just kind of made it stretch out. But when Supervisor B was on duty, we got out of there quickly. We were done quickly. And if the dishwasher broke down, Supervisor A would tell us to go do the dishes by hand. Supervisor B would go in and help us do the dishes by hand. Wait a minute, Supervisor B is the strict one. Yes. But she's also loyal, committed, honest. Okay? So real life models are huge. Notice and compliment honest actions. I like the way you did that. Provide consequences for dishonest actions, but give the children an opportunity to start over. Haven't we said this before? Why is it repeating? Because it's important, and because we need to be reminded more than we need to be instructed. We need to be reminded. Help your children to figure out how to deal with difficult situations that test their honesty and integrity. Where are you going to find those situations to do role plays? Where can you come up with them? Other people's lives experiences. You know, when I was teaching in East LA, one of my friends said, it's easy to tell how late children go to bed. You just ask them what TV show was the last one they watched last night. She was amazed because some of the kindergartners weren't going to bed until 10, 11 o'clock at night. Okay, do TV shows, if you have children in your classroom who have watched TV shows, is there any opportunity to teach them right and wrong based on the plot? Do you think? Could you say, so-and-so did this, you're telling me about the show that you saw, and so did this. Was that a God choice? What should they have done differently? If children are going to be watching, we can't control everybody's TV habits in their homes, in your classroom. If they're going to be watching it, can we not use something to teach them something good in the end? Okay? Teach your children that honesty is never rude. And don't give up too soon. It takes time to develop the habit of honesty and integrity. Because after all, some of us are beyond 12th grade and we're still developing our characters. More than anything, I want to emphasize this piece right here. Be sure your child feels loved. That is key. And that's where I want to leave you with today's lesson. Because when all is said and done, it's going to be the caring adult that the child knows loves them that's going to make the biggest difference in their life. So make sure they feel loved. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming. If you have questions, I'll be around. And I'm going to throw that first screen back up there in case somebody still needs it. The PowerPoints are all available. As I said in other meetings, if you want to use this material in teaching other people, I don't mind as long as you don't sell it. But if you're going to make money on it, then I think you should divide it with me and Dr. Donna. So, anyway, thank you so much.